Okay, also continue right now. This is the second part right now for the offline show, and this is always gonna come on our channel. We uploaded I think 24, 48 hours after the show, or probably sometimes 24 hours, sometimes we 24 hours, sometimes even less than it gets on our channel. So if you are still right there, just be motivated and dedicated. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Those who are subscribed, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys. We really do. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so stay where you can share this video if you know it really touches you. Then share this video to people who may really like it. We will give different clips, we'll cut out different clips, important parts so that you can watch. And to those who enjoy long videos, you can watch everything. You can just download it and watch everything. Okay, so we are going right now. We have podcast quotes right now. So for the podcast quotes of today, we really want to talk about the first quote we have for you guys today is the truth is life is always at some turning point. Anonymous quote. One. Then number two. The person who never changes his opinion never corrects his mistakes. Three. Yesterday's formula for success is often tomorrow's recipe for failure. 4. The man who uses yesterday's method in today's world won't be in business tomorrow. 5. Other Shepherd observe. There are people who not only strive to remain static themselves but strive to keep everything else so. Stay away from such people. 6. Only fools and dead men don't change their minds. Fools don't, dead can't. Mignon McLaughlin said, it's almost unhappy people who most fear change. So that is all we have right now, the quotes right now. But if you enjoy the quotes we give, like comment. Say comment. Okay? Yeah, you gotta possess this energy, this drive. We use these videos for many purposes, many of them. You gotta get the drive. Okay, if you are receiving broadcast from us and you're just watching this video, if you don't subscribe, we will not send you broadcast messages. Just joking though. So right now we want to discuss life, episode 19 of the show. So Patrick, what is life to our guests right now? What is our life? What is life? If you don't know our guest, his name is Sir Patrick Pejetavwo, and he's a lover of computers, and he's into self-development stuff and self-development oriented individual who believes that with the mind, with the right reading of things you face every day, like you will go far. We live in a world right now, everybody wants to be rich in Nigeria. Let's just talk about Nigeria stuff. Everybody wants to be rich in Nigeria. Everybody just wants to be rich in Nigeria. But do we care who we become in the process? That's the question I asked myself yesterday. Everybody wants to be rich. But do we care about who we become in the process? Do we care about what's the pressure to be rich as we turn us into, or what it has turned us into already? So those are things we want to discuss right now. I want to discuss life in general. Life in general. So Patrick, right now, can you discuss what is life to us? The definition of life.
Let me try to give a simple explanation. Life is the course of the existence of an individual. That is the actions and the events that happen in the person's living. So probably a person's life is just characterized by all their actions and all their intents that they did while they were still alive. So for me, I think one thing that is really intriguing about life and death for me is where does life come from and how does death happen? Because I think if we can find out how life started and how life ends, because again, we don't really know what happens when people die. We just find out that they just stop living.
Yeah.
But we don't know what caused it or how people even start living. I think if this particular question can be answered, then we will be able to make people immortal, like to live forever. So I think the simple definition for life is that it's just simply the experience of inner life, that is the cause of the human beings' events and their activities.
Yeah, okay, okay. The cause of humans' events and their activities. We'll talk about plants and is life also in plants. Just think about an answer to that. And if there were no living thing, what would this universe be? Like you also talk about that, so just prepare for that. So the next question we have is this: Is life real? Is life real?
I think life again, life feels almost the life that we're living almost it feels like a simulation. I think it's
Yeah.
still this whole topic is still related to that simulation.
Mm,
Like the way we live it, like the way we experience life, it almost feels like if you actually take a step back, like almost nothing seems real. But
yeah.
there is still real.
Oh,
Like everything, like if someone pinches you now, you will feel it. Like it feels real,
after some
but in
time.
a way, it does not
Mm,
seem real.
yeah.
All in it, I think you get. So
Yeah.
I think, because again, we are still living it, and I think the more life it can be real to you, should you choose to take it that way. Like how you take your life is how it will eventually pan out. If you say that life is not real, then definitely you are going to live your life in
Mm,
a fantasy way. But if you take life as something that is reality, then definitely you are actually going to try to improve the particular reality that you find yourself in.
okay, can life exist without us? Like I say
Yeah,
something you said if someone pinches you right now, for that moment
yeah,
you're gonna feel something happen to you. Right? Why? Because of
yeah,
receptors. Right? Receptors,
yeah.
neurons, all that stuff. Now, because of those things you feel and know that like this thing this person is doing to me right now is real. But what about if those senses were not there? Would you actually feel it? And if you don't feel it, can you call it real? So meaning if there were no senses, would life actually be real? And if can life exist without us, without humans? Is life real if there
I
were no
think
humans?
I think what makes life, what defines for me, what now really defines life
Hmm.
is experiences. That is our ability to feel and to react. I
Yeah.
think irritability in biology, where we
Hmm.
can react to external
Stimulus.
stimuli. But for us as human beings, we don't just react to things that are happening externally. We can also react to things that are
Yeah.
going on
In our
in our
mind.
heads. So
Yeah.
I think for me, life now, we create better experience, so a better explanation of life is that life is an experience. Because the reason why we call some things living and some things
Mm,
dead is because they are actually able to interact
interact.
with things around them, and probably even in their own local habitats or wherever they are,
Yeah.
they can all still, like they can still react to things, like they can experience things, they can feel things and react to those feelings.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
mean, I think life is definitely an experience,
Wow.
and without that experience, there is no life. Because again, you cannot say stones or probably a table is living, because it does not experience anything, does not feel
Anything.
anything. It does, like it does not know anything. It's just there's just a constant in that particular environment. So I think without us being able to sense things, like that, us being able to see, like if you take all the senses away from a human being, I don't think there is anything left, because it's all those senses that drive our brain. Like they are what actually informs our brain of what is happening, and based on what our brain tries to get from what's happening, that is when that gets on how it will react. And definitely something that cannot take in cannot give out. So I think that is how I view the whole thing.
Okay, that's a brilliant one. Okay, okay. You said life is just experience. Life is experience. Life is experience. A scientist said something. David Hoffman. He said, they could be actually living proof that the stone is actually having a some kind of experience of probably from what you're saying right now is life is an experience that is obvious to us. If probably other things are having experiences that are obvious to us that they are having experience, we call them living things. The reason why we say plants are living is because they can actually respond to stimuli, right? So right now, because it's
Yeah.
obvious to us, we call it living thing. Now, what if the stone is actually having some kind of experience, but it's not obvious to us. How likely is something like this happening?
Wait, come again.
For instance, now you see the plants right now. We see plants are living things, right? Okay, why? Because they can respond
Yes.
to stimuli, right? The sunlight,
Yes.
changing, I think, acidic concentration in the soils and that. So now, because we are the probably the master of the planet, right? Because we see noticeable probably responses from plants to stimuli. We see that plants are living, right? So what if, so like, then I think that's a poor way to judge the stuff, right? Because if the responses of the plants to stimuli we are not obvious to us, then we wouldn't know plants we are living things. So the question here is, are stones somehow living things? Is it likely that stones are also living? But in this case, we don't experience, or we don't probably notice the response they actually give to probably stimuli. Is response to stimuli a proof of something living? Let's get that first. Is it a
I
proof?
think yes, response again. But that response is occurs as a result of probably one or two sensory organs of that particular thing, like based on what they feel to, like when somebody touches when somebody says something,
Yeah.
your ear or your skin feels the touch or your ear hears the sound. So your response to that thing now will not be based on what your senses picked up. So I think yes, an organism having the ability to sense things. Again, like I said before, you cannot really react to some things if you did not sense them. So I think being able to sense things is one of the fundamentals of being a living organism. Like being able to experience things, and that is one of the fundamental building blocks of living things.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
don't think without all these things, I don't think you can actually call something living.
Okay. Okay. So that is just it. Because the scientist David Hoffman, he said stones are actually might be actually having some kind of experiences that we may not know, probably because it's not obvious to us. Okay. Because say see cells, for instance, now cells are not obvious to our naked eyes like this, but with the help of microscope we know cells exist. What if there are some experiences these stones that we consider not living? What if there are some experiences they are having but not obvious to us? Is this thing likely to be happening? Could we
For me, it's not
somehow?
likely because
Okay.
probably by now we would have been able to find out. Let's say even if you know that
Yeah.
plants are not like that obvious
It's living.
living organisms
Yeah.
because they respond to stimuli,
Yeah.
external stimuli very slowly,
Yeah.
or probably even trees.
Yeah.
Like most people think most trees they just see them as in a way as non-living objects because of how slowly or
Yeah.
probably they don't even respond in the way we expect them to respond because like human beings we expect people to to give this reaction without when we are particularly when we are dealing with either with our human beings or with animals we expect a certain reaction from them
Yeah.
based on how we feel based on how we feel we will respond in a way.
Yeah.
So probably for me I don't really think stones are living because or they have any experience because they don't have any organ that is able to sense anything. They can
Yeah.
if
That's
you step on
true.
the stone, definitely you're applying pressure on it. But
Mm.
stones don't really have sensory organs to detect
Yeah.
that pressure. Or probably the pressure from you stepping on that particular stone could also generate heat. But again, the stones don't have any organ or any part of their body that is dedicated to really measuring the heat or detecting that particular heat or really experiencing that particular thing. So for me, I doubt that many of all these inanimate objects are able to experience things because they don't have organs or probably they don't have parts of them that are supposed to respond to all these particular things. Even for microorganisms like probably mitochondria or these blue-green algae, they have parts of their whole, no matter how minute they have special developed
Mm.
either organs or parts of them that can respond to whether light or whether water or to anything. So I think And also for something to really be called an organism, I think it must have the ability to sense things.
Okay, that's a brilliant one. Okay, when you're trying to see structures, right? For plants, you can see xylem and different cells, different things, structures of plants. You can see all those stuff. That's what it's trying to say. There must be some kind of all these things. That's what it's trying to. That's what it's trying to say to support what he thinks that inanimate object might not be having any experience. Okay, that's what he's trying to say. But some people believe they are having experience. Some people believe plants are living, so they worship it here and there. What do you think about that? People who worship plants. Do you really think they are foolish, or do you really think there is some sense in it?
I mean, I don't know what they saw in the first place, but probably that is based on, again, it could be based on what they believe the plant can do or
Yeah.
what the plant stands for. Like probably worshiping a tree or something. The reason why they worship it probably is not just for it being a plant, is that probably they believe that the plant or that particular tree that they are worshiping could give them or probably has some form of power in it to help them or some form of control over things happening around it. So I think that is why some people worship plants or trees.
Okay, okay, so there's obviously no real sense in it because I think like the reason people worship things is usually tied to probably they believe whatsoever they see there is supernatural, extraordinary, or probably stuff like that. People have different reasons to do such stuff. Okay, but we don't really understand why they do it. So until they tell us, we can't actually talk about it. so so let's discuss life in cells right now. What can you say about it? What can you say about life in cells? That's just what we want to talk about right now. What are cells? Can you give a better description, a better definition of cells to people? Because many people, even in Nigeria, many students, once they tell you what are cells, to just give it to you, but they can't explain it in their own terms. Adaptation said, he said if you can't explain something in your own words and you don't know it well, so let's talk about that right now. What are cells? How can you define cells first? Then what about life in cells? That's what we want to talk about now. So let's go.
And so for me, cells are first and foremost they are the basic building units of any organism, but they are not just like they are not just like a part, like a single part of any organism. They are like this whole some parts, being that a cell can sustain itself in some ways. That a cell is a self-functioning unit, meaning that it can function perfectly without other cells. But when they now come together, like when like for complex organisms like humans or animals or even plants that we call multicellular organisms,
Yeah.
like those independent cells come together to make up the creation. But for life in the cell, I think that is what is now probably so it's something that will be complicated to explain because we don't really know where life comes from. But let me just try to give like an explanation using computers. So basically, computers run on electrical circuits. But so when a computer is on, let's say we could say that the computer is alive at that moment. But to get a computer to be in the on state, an electrical signal must be sent through the particular computer for it to get to be in that on state. So when it's in that on state, that it now says to be on. That is, once it's on, all the different particular parts of that particular computer they will be working as required. So for cells, I think it will still be the same thing. I think I don't know what particular signal is sent to the body, like or because again for you know that human beings will never turn off like computers.
Yeah.
So definitely there must be some part of our body that is constantly sending signals to all the cells that is like keeping them alive, that is keeping them working. So I think that if we can actually find out that particular thing, that thing that is transmitting these signals, that is sustaining, that is letting the cells know that okay, this particular organism is alive, keep on functioning or continue carrying out your duty. I think by that point we would have
immortal.
how to make people immortal.
That's really good. We have to really find what is keeping the cells alive. The signal, and we can if we can keep instructing. Is it a gene or is it a set of genes? So probably we probably communicate with the genes. Hey, how are you? We know we can't talk to you, but we know we can send chemicals to you to tell you to keep sending the signals to the cells, keep instructing the cells to produce these enzymes that probably sends the signal for them to keep doing their duties all through life. I think this could actually work. Okay, so that's really cool.
When people die,
Mm.
when some people die, it's not that probably they have run out of cells because over time some cells die off and new ones are made.
Yeah, new ones are
But
made.
as we get older, the thing is that our body now stops to make newer cells at a rate to actually keep us living on longer. So I think probably there could be something like maybe probably there's a part of our body, the part of the body that is supposed to give out those chemical signals. I think over time probably it degrades, so it's no longer giving enough signals to actually keep the whole cells. Again, you know that we are multicellular organisms, so a lot of cells must come together to work together to actually keep that particular organism alive. And I think over time, as that particular place, I don't know if I should call it an organ or something, I think over time it degrades in its ability to actually give instruction to the cells to actually keep the organisms living. That's why I think that's why people really die.
That's really true because when I studied these bodies like body structure in old people, I discovered that most of the things, most of the physical things that they say happens to old people is as a result of like no longer particular structure, no longer giving instruction, no longer receiving instruction, no longer receiving instruction, no longer receiving. Not the cells, like it's not really the cells, like the instruction that they no longer receive. You see some parts of the body producing less of a particular hormone or this and that at a particular time. So it's all about instruction. So if we really want to stop death, we can actually work or study more about whatsoever is given the instruction. Is it a set of genes? How do we communicate to the genes? I think this thing can actually change things. So it can actually change it. People might probably people might let's say have not tested something like this because at one time there was no way to correct gene defects, but now there's a way they can correct gene defects right now. There's a way they can correct it. But at one time it was probably the idea to correct it was just like an idea like this probably in someone's mind. They tested it and it worked. Probably something like this will actually work. That's it.
I think probably if you can find a way to speak that part of the brain that controls all these activities. Like again, the reason why people are aging is that there are certain cells in our skin or our bodies that are supposed to be renewed. But the brain over time fails to renew most of them. So you can actually like find a way to speak to the brain to actually start renewing all those things. I don't think people will die after then again.
Yeah,
because then you'll not be able to like instruct the brain to actually send signals to this part of your body needs healing. Maybe send this particular pill to that place, or there is this particular sickness in your body. Like the way our brain responds to illnesses, like our immune system responds to illnesses, like it detects like probably if there is something that causes malaria in your body, it detects the particular virus. Then it sends the particular cells that can now fight against that virus to the part of your body where it was detected. So I think this same thing could also happen. Should we like if we can actually find a way to actually control this whole process, I think we would have unlocked a lot in human body. Like probably somebody is or people that have all these terminal diseases where some parts of their body are breaking down and most of them they don't even live up to 30 or 40. They just die very quickly because some cells in their body are not, let's say, not in the right amount or they are wrong. So if we can actually find a way to talk to the brain to actually send the right signals to that part of the body to like get the cells there to work well, I think we can solve illnesses and a lot of things permanently.
Wow, that's really fantastic. That's really fun. So we don't die out of limited resources. We die probably out of limited
Yeah.
instruction.
Yes.
Instruction.
Because if you notice,
Instruction.
the thing needed to sustain the cells throughout forever. Because if old people, they don't stop eating. Like,
Yes.
again, our body, our cells require nutrients, that is, all those different chemicals.
Yeah.
And as you are getting old, you don't stop. You are still constantly giving your body all these things, other water, food. You are
Yeah.
constantly giving yourself all these things. So the resources needed for the cells to continue sustaining themselves or that organism forever, they are always there. But at a certain point, they are no longer being utilized to actually maintain the organism or to even keep the organism alive again. So I think
Wow.
there is something that is being degraded, or I don't know what to call it, but I think there is probably the part of the body that is in charge of those things. Over time, it loses its function slowly. But if you can find a way to actually revive that thing, I don't think people can ever die. Probably there are a lot of sicknesses that we can heal very quickly.
Wow. If they shall find a way to revive it, that's a brilliant one. That's a brilliant one. Like we are accepting that it could be losing, probably it could actually be probably degrading in its function. But if we can find a way to revive it, if we can find a way to revive it, like we won't actually die.
Yes.
This idea can change things if probably scientists look deep into it. I'll say the best I can do to clip this part out and to actually try my best to actually give it out to tally with YouTube algorithm to see what probably who will actually see it or look into it. Okay, so that's really great one. That's a great one. This idea can actually change things. We don't die out of limited resources, we die out of limited instruction. What if we can revive it? What are scientists doing to actually connect this system controlling everything, controlling the instructions? I don't think we are thinking in that direction. Because if we are thinking in this direction, we should have solved the problem. We should have solved the problem. The scientist said something. Said we're asking ourselves, what is consciousness? What if we're asking the wrong question? Say we're asking ourselves, what is consciousness? He said, what if we're asking the wrong question? What if our focus right now is pointing? If we ask the wrong question, we'll definitely be focused on the wrong thing. We can never get it. So that is it right now. So I think scientists should probably start to pay attention to something like this, to this system, to the instruction. Like, let's work on it. Let's leave the cells. The cells don't have problem. What about the instruction? Let's try to communicate with the set of genes or whatsoever. So that is right now. So the question we have right now for you, Patrick, again, if there were no life in the universe, what could be the possible things to expect? Would trees still grow? If there were no life in the universe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think trees will not grow because, again, the reason why trees grow is because they are living organisms.
Okay.
So again, how growth happens in organisms is that once the cells or once the body takes in enough nutrients, it will not be able to increase, like, you will not be able to produce more cells to
Yeah.
actually, like, to expand, because growth happens by the addition of cells, whether in humans, whether in plants. So for growth to actually happen, there must actually be life constant. So plants will not grow if there's no life.
Okay. Okay. So now, can you discuss about adaptation to life? What is the meaning of adaptation to life? In
So
humans,
adaptation
yeah, in humans and
adaptation
in
is just
plants.
simply the ability of an organism to be able to change its actions based on its environment, or based on the variables in that particular environment affecting it. Like, probably an animal in the forest, let's say normally it lives under the shade in trees,
Yeah.
where it gets cooled down.
Yeah.
So probably due to some unforeseen circumstance, the trees now get cut down.
Yeah.
And that organism actually needs to be cool to actually survive. So the organism now needs to find another way to get cool. If you can find that way to get cool in order to survive, you can see that that particular organism has adapted to the new changes in the environment. And as living things, we must always adapt to change, whether plants or animals. The ability of that organism or that species to adapt to changes is what actually guarantees their survival rate. Like the reason why human beings are so popular, like why human beings are the most successful living organisms, because we can adapt to a lot of things rapidly, whether even as babies or whether as human beings, we can adapt to a lot of changes in our lives, in everything, very, very quickly compared to animals or plants or anything. Like there are some things that we see that probably we have never dealt with before, but immediately we are dealing with them, we are able to like now change our thinking and probably align our actions to deal with that particular thing as it's happening to us. That I don't think any other living thing, whether animals or plants, I don't think they possess that sort of ability like human beings. So again, adaptation is when the particular organism is able to react, like able to change his actions to in reaction to changes that occurred in his particular environment in order to guarantee his survival.
Okay, I'm coming in minutes, please. I got some alarm. Okay, we're back. Okay, so that is just what you said is really, really I'm a great one. Adaptation to life, just what we said. And so now, what are some features plants possess that helps them survive relating to humans too? What are some features plants possess that helps them survive? And also, what are some features humans possess too that helps them survive? Even animals. Just summarize.
And the main features that they possess is again their sensory organs, because those they are organs that we use to detect the changes happening around them or happening to them. Then based on that, I think even plants, I think plants to still have, I don't know if I would call it a brain, but the cells in plants, based on what their sensory organs have detected in their particular environment,
Yeah.
the cells now work based. It's just like yeah, those things give them information. Okay, this is what is happening. No. Then those other cells will now decide. Okay, this is how we will now change, or this is what we will now do to actually deal with this particular information that we are received. I think that is the same thing for human beings too. Our sensory organs, I think, is one of the key parts of our adaptation, because let's say
Today, day off for IDL melon.
when there's a forest fire,
Today,
it will
day off for
definitely
IDL
get
melon.
consumed. Even plants, a lot of plants will get burned down in the fire, because why plants? First of all, the piece of paper cannot sense that there is a fire actually burning. And even if you can, the plants that can sense that there is a fire burning, they are not able to move because of how they are made. But
Yeah.
human beings now or other animals now, they can actually sense and move. That is now, I think those are the two things that those are two features that actually enable them to actually survive. First of all, is being able to sense like the different variables in your environment,
Yeah.
then being able to react to them. Those are two features that are critical to the survival of anything or anybody.
Okay, that's really a brilliant one. I always said if plants were actually aware, like the fire is actually there, they will run away. Even if they are aware, if they can sense it, they can't be run away from the fire. And that's really probably, is there low life in plants? We don't know. Is there low life in plants? Then higher life in humans and animals?
And there is life in plants.
Is there low
But for me, I'm
life?
still trying
Is it
to
low?
I'm still trying to get the whole like trying to get an understanding of how of how our consciousness was. Because again, plants too, because they are based on their ability to react to all these things, we can
Yeah.
still say that yes, they have a form of a certain level of consciousness in them. But
Yeah.
the level of consciousness in human beings and in other animals are definitely higher. So for me, I think probably consciousness, and let me just try to based on what I'm saying, I think probably consciousness is just when the different cells present in that organisms, they actually come together, like based on the information that they have received, like based on what they have gathered from their senses. The cells now try to work together in a coordinated manner, like to actually give sensible results that will actually guarantee their survival. I don't know how it works, but I think that is how it works. Where organisms to just decide, okay, this is what, or this is the signal that should be given to these cells in this particular part of the body. Because even for human beings, definitely there is something in our brain that gives the signal to our leg, like when there is danger, gives a signal to the cells in our legs to start moving, like for the muscles to start contracting and to start pushing and pulling. So I think or our consciousness could just simply be a function of all the different cells in our bodies working together to ensure that we stay alive.
Okay, that's a brilliant one. All this is working together so that we stay alive. Now, and I was thinking right now, if we could understand consciousness really well, then we can somehow manipulate consciousness in plants so as to increase the level of so as to increase its level in plants, so that when fire is probably something, there's fire outbreak, then the plants will just dictate it and just run away. I was thinking so probably if we can understand consciousness, then we can somehow discover a science or something to manipulate the consciousness level in plants so as to increase it in a way that will help plants to be able to actually move, probably like humans, or dictate harmful stimuli and run away from them faster than it should have normally done. So that's what I'm thinking right now. But the barrier here is we don't yet understand what consciousness is about. That's the barrier. So can you help us solve this problem?
I think plants, I don't think they will ever be able to run away because of how they are made. Because remember that plants have roots that they need and that they use to collect nutrients and water from the soil. So probably for them to be able to respond that way, where if they sense a danger, you let them, like say, like they feel something is going to happen to them, then they just get up and run. I think you will need to change their whole physical structure for them to actually have legs and have muscles to move the legs. But I think plants can actually detect a lot of things. So based on the amount of cells and the complexity of the cells that make up that particular plant, they respond to the different stimuli in different ways. I think there was this experiment that scientists did where put some plants in the soil near landmines. So the plants now can detect, that is using their roots. Roots are a form of a sensory organ in plants. Using their roots now, they will not detect some particular chemicals from the landmines. Then when they detect it, the plants now give off this particular hormone. That hormone now, the scientists will now try to get if that hormone, the plant is giving off that hormone. If it's giving off that hormone, then they will not be sure that there's presence of a landmine in that area for them to actually clear it. So I think plants now, or different organisms now, they can actually gather different information from a lot of things, but they cannot respond to all of them in the same way based on their physical structure. That is how we are built. Like human beings now, we can easily run away from danger because we have legs and all those other things. Or probably we could even turn back and fight the danger based on the amount of, like, again, the way our body is built, like cells make up tissues make up organs, then organs make up systems, that is our nervous system and all those things. So I think based on all these particular things, all these particular complex systems available in our body, we are not able to respond to whatever we are seeing in ways that the plants cannot, because the plants do not possess all these particular things that we possess.
Wow. It's really, really interesting. It's really, really interesting. It's really, really interesting. Plants, it's really, really interesting. It's really, really interesting. So due to the complexities of their cells, probably they can't react fast, but they could have, probably because of their complexities, so that cells arrangement. That's why they really can't respond that fast. And probably I will one day manipulate it to probably increase the speed of their reaction and the things. But yeah, let's see, Sha. That's just it. That's just it. Exploration, ideas. That's what has changed the world. Very, very important. So right now we are going over to the next right now. What are the daily practices? Okay. Now you can advise people, because when you live in this life, we talked about adaptation. You gotta learn to adapt, you gotta learn to do this better, you gotta learn to get better results, you gotta learn to read things. You said the mind is a reader, you gotta learn to read things accurately You have to learn to see things where you make sure the lens you should look at the world. You make sure it's not cloudy. Okay, if it's cloudy, you are in problem. If it is faulty, you are in soup. Right? Because if you have a faulty lens right now, everything you see is not accurate. If you are wearing a faulty lens, everything you see is not accurate. So if probably you are lost in your own senses, like stuff like that. So right now we want to talk about right now adaptive features. Can you give some adaptive features, some survival things, techniques or practices people can do to probably enhance their self productivity and performance in life? Adaptation relating to humans right now. So let's talk about that.
Okay. But the key part, particular thing that we always keep coming up for most of all these things, like for self improvement, is like the one key thing that must be done for an individual can begin to develop themselves. I think is the ability to see clearly. Because if you say you want to, like when plants want to adapt, or when a particular organism want to adapt to something, like to a change, then definitely you must be able to sense that change happening. So as a human being, probably you're trying to adapt to business, like a change in the business, or probably a change in life. Then you need to be able to sense that change. And for you to sense that change, you must be seeing something clearly. You cannot see, if you are not looking at something, you will never know when it's changed. So for you to know that a change is occurring in a particular place, you need to be seeing that particular thing clearly. Because let's say a tree was growing, you don't know, you have never seen that tree before. You will not know that the tree was growing. Probably you just saw the tree big. You just think that naturally, you just think, okay, probably that tree has always been that size. But it's not true. For you to actually for you to actually sense changes, but be able to see things happening, is when you are now actually, let's say you are monitoring the plant as it's growing. That is when you now see that, okay, this particular thing, changes are actually happening to this tree. So the first thing to actually do to begin to adapt to changes is that you need to see what was there before, then see the changes that are happening to that particular thing. Then based on that, you now need, again, there is no one stone to kill two birds answer for this thing. Is because again, there are many situations in life, and you cannot just give one answer that will just solve every single problem. So after you have probably gotten, like probably notice where this change is happening, you need to be vigilant, as you need to be conscious of what is happening. When you have gotten all these things, that's when you now need to apply that other method that I told you, where you make a table of all the different actions that you could take, all their merits and their demerits. It's based on that place. That's when you now find, okay, what should I actually do to actually, or how can I actually react to this particular change that is happening better. I think that is just the only way to go about it.
So you have to see clearly. That's the best advice. See clearly. If you don't see clearly, you won't. You have two parts of this world. You're living in the physical and the internal world. Your body is reacting to what is physical outside and also what is internal too. So now, if you don't see clearly, you will give a wrong information to your internal body. Probably if something happened right now and you see a very ugly view of it, your body will react to it. You will feel bad. That's it. So the best thing, see clearly. Very important. What I'm seeing is said right now. We're calling it quiz right now for the second part of the second segment of the podcast, and we will stream live tomorrow. The time has already been given. Others are waiting right now. Notifications turned on already, and everything is already prepared. Just to hit the button, and tomorrow we'll get started. So right now we were calling it quiz right now. How can I enjoy life? That's the question I was giving. How can I enjoy life better? What is your answer to this question? Someone is asking right now, how can I enjoy life better?
I think the best way to enjoy, because again, as human beings, there are certain resources that we need to really like to survive. Right? That is, we need food, we need water, we need most of all these things. But I think for you to begin to enjoy life better, you don't necessarily need an excess supply of all these particular things. There is a certain baseline that you get to, where you can actually, there are most of all these things, other have everything, that is when you will be happy. You will never be happy because there will always be something new that you need to get.
You want to get.
Like 100 years ago, rich people then, you could say that they had everything. But if you look at what we have now, they did not have phones, laptops, internet connection, lights, or many of the things we enjoy today. So again, happiness is something that you can actually make for yourself. That is, you can actually choose to be happy at a certain stage. But again, I think for you to be truly happy, like you need to have like enough of the resources that you need to actually survive as a person, to not have these worries. As you need probably a short supply of money to buy food or these particular things that we as human beings need to survive. And I think if we can get all those things right, basically you can manufacture happiness as you feel like it. Like you can actually have the privilege to be able to try new experiences or learn new things or go new places. It's all the different experiences now that are based on how you view the experiences. Because if, let's say, you were trying to do something new and it feels, and you just view the experience as a total failure, then definitely you're not going to be happy. That you're not going to view it as a sad event. But if you now actually view it, okay, probably the thing failed though, but this is what I learned from it. You could definitely like always try to derive happiness from certain things that you experience. Because if you don't, there is nobody that is going to give false happiness or you or sell happiness to you. Happiness is something that you must make yourself. The only way to really be happy, first of all, for me, is like try to try to get a balanced, comfortable life. A balanced, comfortable life does not mean that you must have every single thing out there. Like you just have things that you need to feel secure. Like you just need life security, where you're not afraid that probably tomorrow landlord is coming to knock your door. Tomorrow you might not have food to eat or things like that. Like, if you have all those things, then the opportunity available for you to be happy are endless.
Yes. That's really fantastic, and that's why I'm really making preparations for myself and my future, and then setting up a business and going to school, studying well, being the best in school, having a very big farm. Because I look at it like if you actually farm everything you buy, you will spend less. You will spend less than you earn. Imagine you farm plantain, imagine you farm yam, imagine you farm corn. Those things that probably help to keep life sweet. Plantain, we call it dodo. Imagine you have all those things. Imagine you just have a farm. Some people will say, okay, what if pest comes? Leave the pest to me. I'm gonna leave the pest to me. I already have a very good structure to protect my farm from thieves and from other things. By the time I if I explain the idea to you, you're gonna really like it. I say, well, I've designed everything in my head already. Okay, so all these things are things that could really help. If there is life security, probably you're not afraid, probably something. So you have to settle all those things too. When you settle all those things, then what else are you looking for? Just calm down and probably enjoy yourself. So this is all we have right now. But actually, we will treat the part 2 of this what's life discussion, because we are not yet done. There are still some questions here that we did not talk about. So that's the reason we will treat the part stuff. That is fixed, okay? We are doing that. Then for the simulation stuff, we're going to treat part 3 because there are some questions we could not really talk about, and we really need to talk about them. So right now, we're running out of time. Right now, we have to call it quits right away. So for the next show, we are gonna be discussing. I'm not really that sure about what we're gonna be discussing, but just some insights in case you're watching right now. You should prepare for something like this. We might be talking about this part 3 of Are We Living in a Simulation? We'll talk about it again. Then what's live discussion, part 2 of it. We will continue in the next show we are having. Then that is just it. That's just it. So stay connected. This is all we have for this today's second segment of the podcast. Stay connected for the first segment. Streaming live tomorrow on our channel. Let's go. Patrick, thanks for being a guest again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.